Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we are taking a deeper dive into our final thoughts about Emem and Brandon.
Listen, make sure y'all check out our deep dives of Married at First Sight this week. This is our final deep dives of this season. I know some people probably thought this would be the final deep dives of Married at First Sight in general. Mm-hmm. No, just for this season. And Emem and Brandon and Ikechi, because I got to include Ikechi in Emem's story.
All right.
Right? Do you remember back in 2003? I think it was 2003, right? To where I think Beyonce decided to go solo.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And she came out with that album Dangerously in Love. Mm-hmm. And the single was Crazy in Love. And she did it with Jay-Z. And it was a big song. And everybody was talking about the uh-oh dance and things of that nature. Oh, yeah. Emem is Crazy in Love.
Okay.
Right? And I don't think the uh-oh is going to be as popular in her case. It's more like uh-oh. Mm-hmm. Not like uh-oh, not like the happy uh-oh. It's like uh-oh.
I feel you on that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. It's big uh-oh.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's y'all. I don't know if it's my wife. But I definitely expected much more from Emem. And I don't know if her being married to Ikechi kind of set that stage for us. Basically seeing how she was treated wrong, of how she was verbally abused and things of that nature, of how she was committed to the relationship no matter if she was showing up to the counseling sessions. She was doing the homework that was given to her, make the phone calls. He went to Houston. And she was very forgiving until she wasn't. Mm-hmm. Until it basically came down to where he showed up with a divorce paper and he tried to embarrass her again, right? And you know what? She said, I'm going to give you what you want. And you want a divorce from me? You got it. And on decision day, of course, they decided, even before decision day, we're not going to do this. We're not going to stay together, right? Within that same season, not even before we even got to the reunion, right? We find out that she is talking to this guy named Brandon that apparently came from elementary school, middle school, whichever past she had. And they went on 3 dates, maybe 2. And by the 3rd date, he is proposing. Mm-hmm. In the same season that basically she just gave a verbal divorce from her husband that she was paired with. And then next thing you know, we at the end of the Where Are They Now? And now they're doing a commitment ceremony. And it just felt like, whoa, wait a minute, Emem. Like this is a huge gamble, right? I didn't think someone of your caliber or someone that basically have a lot to lose, and I'm not even talking about financial things, because everybody seen the apartment, everybody saw the air fryer. You get what I'm saying? I'm talking about, hey, I am 100% going to keep repeating what my wife says. She believes that whenever you're leaving this process, there should be someone there, like a therapist or a counselor, to make sure that we put you together whatever we tore apart.
Right.
Whatever this process tore apart, we put you together. And I don't know if you was fully healed or fully over your whole experience on Married at First Sight, that it just felt like you took the pen and you like, you know what, I'm going to rewrite my story because I'm not leaving this experiment without a husband or without someone that loves me because I have been in such a terrible marriage. Do you have anything to add, Blair?
I guess the only thing I have to add is that, we really got to start from the beginning if we're going to talk about it.
Oh, my goodness.
The beginning to me is applying for Married at First Sight. And I think you kind of have to put everything in that perspective of somebody who's willing to apply for Married at First Sight might shape and color how they view relationships. I think that some of the people who come on here and of course want a real marriage, a real relationship, that I feel like Emem was one of those people. But it's kind of like, at what cost?
Yeah.
I think that the mindset of a contestant of Married at First Sight who really wants to go into a lifelong marriage with a stranger kind of has to be somebody who is willing to be high risk, high reward type of mentality.
That's fair.
You know? And with that, I think that she came in and absolutely gave her all and did her best to make her relationship work. To the point, I think that she was willing to continue to stay with him no matter how bad he treated her. And it kind of did take the divorce paper for her to really wash her hands of the situation, I believe. I think that if Ikechi would have came to the retreat with everybody, if they had good conversations, then she might have felt like there was a string of hope tying them together.
Yeah.
So I absolutely do not stand for anything Ikechi did. I felt like he went across everything wrong and maliciously. But I do feel like she had really no boundaries as far as what her standard was when it comes to her type of relationship that she wanted to have and how much she was willing to put in it in order for her to feel like she was coming out of it successfully. So then when we talk about her having this kind of like whirlwind romance, if you want to call it, with Brandon, I think that if you see that she's willing to marry a stranger and commit to a lifelong partnership to somebody who actually treats her bad, that she clearly really wants someone who is going to go the long haul with her, regardless of how they got together, how short their courting process was, or if they really know each other or not. I think that those things aren't necessarily important to her when finding a lifelong partner. I think just as a viewer, what's important to her is starting her family, having a husband, having children. And I think all of those things are very positive, and that's why we tune in to Married at First Sight, to see if can these people make their dreams come true with a stranger, you know? And I think with Brandon, it comes as such a shock because you're no longer in the process. Nobody is making you move at this pace. Nobody is saying that, hey, you guys are married, so you need to hurry up and get things together. And for you to kind of take it on your own accord outside of the process to move at such a quick pace is very alarming. But if she's willing to do Married at First Sight, how alarming is it really?
Yeah, it's almost like Married at First Sight was the breeding ground. Basically, if I could do the hardest thing, doing hard becomes easy because I did the hardest thing already.
Especially if this is somebody that you may have known in childhood. They are familiar with your family and your friends,
at least your face.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And, you know, they know of each other, and there might be that level of comfortability that I know his people. I may not have talked to him for 20 years or been over their house or anything like that, but I'm familiar with this person, who they kind of hang around and who their family is. So that's pretty much my kind of overall consensus, is like, how crazy is it if you're willing to do Married at First Sight?
Here's the thing.
I still think it's pretty crazy.
No. I think,
but yeah, I'm trying to just put it in perspective, I guess.
No, you did an excellent job putting it in perspective. I even heard some people, because I keep my ears to the streets just a little bit, right? That they are even calling Emem courageous or even brave, fearless, even for even entering this union with Brandon immediately right after this whole experience with Ikechi. And I don't know if I would call it brave, right? Because in my opinion, only mine, I'm not going to speak for you, Blair. Which path leads to least resistance, right? And I think it's easy for Emem, based on what I've seen this season, for her to basically be like, you know what, I want love and I'm going to go for love, right? I don't think that takes bravery. I think that's probably what you would do. You get what I'm saying? That's the path of least resistance for you, right? Bravery is actually taking time for yourself, and no matter how long that would take, still hoping and wishing for love, but putting yourself first in a real way, in my opinion. In a way that's be like, you know what? I really need to steal the words of Ikechi, to be selfish in this moment, to really care about my mental health, to not basically be pulled in different directions and things like that. And you know what? As much as I want to be a wife and things like that, I still want to make sure that I'm still whole at the end of whatever decision I make. And I think, in my opinion, it would have been more brave for you to be like, you know what? Let's still date. I'm not going to accept the proposal right now. It's early, right? But I want to get to know you. I want to get to know you past the love bombing. I want to get to know you past Emem says that his actions matching with his words in this short amount of time. Sure, right? Because there's a lot of Brandon that we don't know. You would think that if I was to bring somebody on and say, hey, watch these last couple episodes with me of Married at First Sight, they would think that he was on the cast, that he was part of the show. But no, like it feels that way because it just seemed like the show kind of built at least the last couple episodes, like their story was one of the main stories of the show. But I don't know much about Brandon's divorce. And I don't think you knew much about Brandon's divorce at the time that you accepted the proposal, right? Also, with the whole, I listen here, I have a whole different standard when it comes to men, right? The whole driving in the car, I do not like when I ask you a question and then you give me an analogy.
Right.
Like, dude, you get what I'm saying?
I need facts, details,
exactly,
all that stuff.
Like I like the whole analogy thing is you're trying to make me digest something that may be hard to digest, right? So no, give me the tough pill that is to swallow. Hey, are you the cause of the divorce? How did you end up sleeping on your sister's couch? Right? You're over here proposing to this woman and things of that nature, and whole time you're living on your sister's couch. Now, mind you, if you didn't want to share it with us, I don't know why. If you don't want to share your life with us, then you shouldn't have been on the show. Especially if we're doing a commitment ceremony to where Pastor Kyle is in the middle, basically leading this ceremony for you. So it just felt like, especially from us, the viewers, that Brandon is a big red flag. That Brandon is a gamble that we feel like someone in Emem's position should not take, right? Because we're like, hey, Brandon's over here basically... I'm not going to go so far and say provoking Akechi, but at the reunion, you over here trying to, well, even before the reunion, right? On the last episode, you over there trying to basically stand your ground to Akechi. Akechi don't know who you are. You're like, hey, I'm Brandon. And he's like, I don't know who that, I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden at the reunion, you want to basically put your hand out and say, oh, I made a bet that he's not man enough to shake my hand. Why he got to be man enough to shake your hand? Akechi don't got to be man enough to shake your hand.
Yeah.
Akechi don't got to be man enough to sit next to y'all while y'all have y'all little thing where you do your little hand motions and things of that nature,
well,
right?
Before we move past this point too
ahead.
much further, I do want to add that I, at first, when you were saying that, I was like, I really don't care to learn too much about him, to be honest, because he's not a cast member. I have no interest. Really.
Yeah.
But I do think that if they're in a date, and we got to see a few of their dates, and the conversations that they were having really didn't, to me, provide much depth into who he was as a person.
No, it didn't.
Right. And so I do think that, you know, if you're getting to know somebody and these are the types of conversations you have, it doesn't seem like those are the conversations that would be able to sway you into an engagement that quickly. You know what I mean? And maybe it was a factor of not wanting to share much on TV. But if you're being introduced onto the show with the viewers, and we've found a way to get to learn Emem and kind of, you know, get to learn all these different people, learning some of their backstory, you think that that would be something that would be shared during the dating process, especially if we're watching their first date, if it happened as it said. Now, I understand that in reality TV, a lot of this stuff can be like scenes that have already happened in real life, and they're kind of just replaying different things or whatever the case may be. So there could be a little bit of like, you know, movie magic behind the scenes going on. But you would think that that would be part of the conversation, which it wasn't. So hopefully she did get that information during their, you know, whole time of being together, you know?
No, facts. No, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, if Brandon wants to take advantage of the whole idea of being on TV to where Pastor Kyle, he wants to be married by Pastor Kyle on TV, right? Then I think it's fair for us to be like, Brandon, we don't know you. Let's get to know you, right? Let's get to hear what happened in that divorce, what happened in your marriage, why were you in the car going the wrong way for 9-10 years and things like that. And that don't bring no type of like worry to you? That someone will be in a car with you for 9-10 years going the wrong way and then hop out and start walking back the other way?
Or even spark the question of, okay, well, when did you realize that you were going down the wrong road and you continued to go? I feel like that would be a red flag to somebody going into an engagement, that you're kind of willing to coast in things and not actually take charge and change the situation. So I agree. I feel like in those dates that we saw, that a lot of the things he was saying I thought would raise more questions, but maybe she already knew it, or maybe it wasn't important for her to know. And
I keep going back to what Emem said in that one-on-one meeting with Michelle when they was having lunch. And basically, Michelle was basically saying, hey, why you keep trying with Ikechi, basically, to paraphrase. And she said, I've been through worse, guys. Like, basically, like, this is nothing compared to what I've been through. And I'm just like, if you always been through worse and bad, and that is your metric of what's basically, hey, this is not as bad, this is bad, but not as bad as that, and this is bad, but not as bad as that, how do you truly know what is good?
But I think that's when the conversation has to shift to, what is your drive? Like, what's driving your decision making? And I think that to us, it looks like a little bit like fear and desperation.
Oh yeah.
But to her, the way she explains it is that it's coming from a deep want and desire in order to have this life that she sees for herself. And I think that when you're approaching different things in life, it is a lot of you stepping out there, taking risks, when it comes to business, career, even certain goals of hobbies and different things that you might want to have. You have to put yourself out there in order to see some type of come fruitful from that situation.
Yeah.
But it makes a difference when it's a relationship, because you're in partnership with somebody who has to create something fruitful with you.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can throw yourself out there and then it's going to make it work this way, regardless of if you're dragging the person along or if they're dogging you out at the same time, but you're saying we're going to get through this no matter what they say or do to me. Like, it's a partnership in order for you guys to reach whatever goals you have as a couple together. It's not an individual going after your goal type of thing. I do think that, of course, in dating and engagements and all these types of things, like, you do have to be particular about the type of person you want to date, how that person treats you, how I even, take into account how that person treats their family, their friends, and strangers, because if we're not on good terms, I don't want to be treated like a dog.
Oh, no, facts.
So I think that these are different things that you have to evaluate when it comes to a partner, so that way you can have the dream of being a wife or the dream of being a mother that you so, desperately want. And I don't want to use desperation as a put down, because I think that there's a certain time frame in order for these things to happen naturally, and it can feel like pressure on all sides if you're not in the process of doing that. So I think that depression is not depression, but desperation is a reality for a lot of people, and I think that it matters how you navigate it and not letting that drive you.
The reason why I use desperation, and unfortunately some people feel like and I don't know if I feel this way, if I'm going to be honest. I know
it might be different for women,
I don't know. It's usually the term that, Chris, make a choice, pick a side. But I really don't know. When Ikechi basically said she would marry anybody, right? I don't know what he saw in the marriage, in the personality, in the patterns that made him come to that conclusion. But even at the end of it, we'd be like, wow, she will marry anybody, right? And Brandon comes off as anybody, right? Especially since it's like, who is Brandon? Okay, 7 days, 10 days after decision day, you are accepting a proposal while you're still legally married. It just comes off as, oh, you will marry anybody that will basically fill in this slot that you want to fill in, or fill in this box, or check off this box. And I don't want people to be confused or to even turn on Emem and be like, Ikechi was right all along. I am not willing to go that far and say Ikechi was right all along, but I'm willing to go this far and say, as much as you think that you are rewriting your story, as much as you think that you are putting a bow on your story on Married at First Sight, your story is still very much motivated by Ikechi. At the end of it, Brandon is just the anti-Ikechi. The reason why you can actually say, this is what I wanted from y'all experts and things like that, that is all motivated from your experience with Ikechi, right? And that doesn't mean that that Brandon is a bad or good guy, but if your metric is against, I'm not gonna say Ikechi is the worst guy that been on Married at First Sight, but he's definitely in the top 3 of one of the worst guys in my opinion, right? But if your metric is, hey, as long as you're not Ikechi, I don't know if you should be using Ikechi as the measuring stick of good or bad.
But I don't even think she is. I don't even think a lot of this is fueled by Ikechi.
You really don't think so?
I don't. I think that he is just another pebble in the ocean of her life. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I think that there are a lot of things, like whether it's the lack of verbal communication from her dad of outwardly saying I love you to this man who is willing to say I love you and say it on the TV and demand Pastor Cal to marry me in front of you. I think that all of these things kind of like contribute to her decision making when it comes to her love life. I think that Ikechi is not a major driving force. I think that in the show's sake, it's something that she might put a spotlight on to say, this guy was awful. Look who y'all gave me and look who I found for myself, so to speak.
That's fair.
But I think that when it comes to her personal life and her really getting together with this guy and trying to have a family and all that stuff, it goes beyond Ikechi. And I think that's why even with Ikechi making that statement, she would marry anybody. And I don't want to give him this, but I'm just going to put it in a little sideways, sitting beside his point.
We just going to put it right here. Okay.
Is that if you don't tailor your style to your partner, then you aren't trying to form a partnership with that person. You're trying to get that person to fit into your life without actually creating a new type of relationship and a new type of way of communicating with that person. I do think that Ikechi was somebody who you would be unable to communicate with because he didn't want to be communicated with.
He said it. Yep.
Right. But I do think that if she isn't able to find what her partner needs and kind of fitting in within those gaps, it can probably feel like, it really doesn't matter what I say, what I do. Like, you're determined for this thing to go this way, and I have no say or no contributing part in the matter because you're determined for this thing to be this way. And I just think that she sometimes can kind of like steamroll a lot of situations because she's so determined for it to go the way that she sees. And I think that goes beyond Ikechi. I think that goes to the whole reason of getting on Married at First Sight, when she also was engaged to somebody already and was going to get married, but that ended up not happening. And we don't know the exact details of why that relationship didn't happen, but it causes to wonder, was that a situation that you were trying to steamroll in this direction, and maybe there were certain things that you could have improved upon to create a better partnership?
I like the way you took this conversation, right? Because it's forcing me to think. Right. Okay. So if I go by your theory or your philosophy, that it's not motivated by Ikechi. Ikechi is basically a small pebble in this big ocean that probably was filled with childhood, filled with daddy issues, filled with mama issues, or just expectations.
Just life.
Your life, right?
Yeah.
Let's say that that's true, right? And I'm gonna lean towards you on that, right?
Okay.
Then Ikechi, I don't know if that is true. Then basically, I don't know if Ikechi was basically in a position to show up as a husband. And that doesn't mean that Ikechi was a good partner. I don't think he would have been a good partner for anybody that he did not find attractive, right? But like, for example, when you decided to accept my proposal, Blair, you wanted to be my wife, and the expectation of me was to be your husband, not to be your healer. I'm not here to heal past traumas of yours, dude. You get what I'm saying?
But in being a good partner, you kind of do.
But that's not my.
But it's not your responsibility.
It's not my responsibility.
It's not your responsibility.
It's not my responsibility. It is not my responsibility to heal that 5-year-old Blair that may have went through something. Or that 12-year-old Blair that went through something. Or that 19-year-old Blair that went through something, right? By me hopefully showing up being a good partner, we hope that, indirectly that part of you that you come to terms with, but that's not my job.
Right.
Right. And I don't know if you didn't know that. I guess this is the first time we all hearing about it. That's not my job.
No.
Right.
That's not.
In the same way, and it's not your job to heal 6-year-old Chris, 12-year-old Chris, 20-year-old Chris. Right. If she have all these things, right, to where Ikechi couldn't heal, right, or these partners couldn't heal, but Brandon is healing, right, basically with the loving and the commitment and the actions meeting up with his words and things like that. What happens when you're healed? Because if he's coming up and showing up as just like, I'm here to heal these wounds, right, then you actually get to actually see things in a clear view. And I hope that in the process of you actually becoming healed and you actually becoming full and things of that nature, if we're going by your philosophy, I hope that at the end of it, that there is still like, you can now measure if y'all are compatible or things of that nature in a healthy way.
I think it's a little more nuanced than that.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because I think that coming into a partnership and a loving relationship, does a lot of healing on its own.
Okay.
Because of different things that you may have thought about yourself, or ways you viewed yourself, or ways you viewed partnership changes when somebody who comes in and is actually pouring something positive into you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to really critique that too much, because I think that's a part of a happy relationship. But I do think that when you're relying on other people to heal you, and I don't necessarily know if that's their case. I don't think it is. I think that the natural way that they love each other is doing that healing. But if you're going into someone and this person is kind of like doing a lot of the heavy work when it comes to healing a lot of your tough parts and stuff that, it's not so much of a place to where you're at, where you're saying like, okay, like now I know what it means, like in order to see if that person is a good partner for me. I think it can lead to codependency.
And that's a problem though.
Yeah, to where I feel my best around this person, and when they're not around, then I don't really get that type of pouring into I need to feel the way that I want to.
And because of that, I never get to really show up independently as a partner for you.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Even though there's nuance to it, Pastor Carol basically said that in their meeting.
Yeah.
That's what the whole meaning, or basically saying, hey, are y'all trauma bonding? Are y'all trying to heal something that's like deeper besides the actual thing that actually bring y'all together? Is the thing that bring y'all together is y'all trauma, y'all hurt, besides the actual love and expectation and standard that you want for each other? And I feel like with Emem, and we go off of the philosophy of basically that he catch you just a little small pebble, I don't think it is fair to build your relationship on that. You get what I'm saying? To build it off of trauma bonding or love bombing and things like that.
That's not
like it's not, because it does build some type of codependency.
Yeah.
Because eventually, after you're healed, or after I get tired of being the healer of the relationship, I always gotta be there for you. You get what I'm saying? I'm tired of Blair being 60 years old. You get what I'm saying? Like, Blair's a whole woman out here, and it's like after a while, somebody get tired of that weight and that burden, and then all of a sudden you become the new car that they gotta jump out of, and they've been going the wrong way.
Right.
Dude, like,
yeah.
So that's what I meant by when I say I understand there's nuance to it, but that's the whole idea of, am I here to show up as a husband or a healer? I can't be a 24-hour healer.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
But I think that just inadvertently showing up as a loving, caring, supportive husband, you are healing.
Yes. No.
But you're not actively saying like, tell me all your issues.
No,
tell me what I need to do in order to make you feel this and that. Like what we've been touching on.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, that's why I think it's easy for you, if you are Emem, to be in a position to be love bomb, because what do I have to do? I just have to do everything that Ikechi wasn't doing, right? And you basically gave me the playbook of basically to say, this is what I wanted from Married at First Sight, because Brandon had the playbook to see, oh, I'm just gonna do everything opposite of Ikechi. You get what I'm saying? Now, I hope in my closing remarks about Emem and Brandon that with this huge gamble that it pays off. I really do. I'm not over here hoping that people break up. Listen here, I got my own wife. You get what I'm saying? I have my own relationships. But I hope that with this big gamble, and it's a huge gamble, that it actually do pay off and it does heal. And not only heal, but you actually have like true happiness in a true relationship to where y'all both can be fed from this relationship, besides someone being 100% healer or somebody being codependent to where it's like, oh, I got to be around you. I need you. But I hope in this decision that it works out for you.
Yeah. And for me, I can only go based off of what they say. And if they say they're in a happy, good place and everything's great, then it is what it is. And if it's otherwise, I won't know. So.
Oh, no. We really won't know.
I really won't know.
We won't know.
So, they say it's good, so keep up the good work.
Hey, I ain't gonna go that far, but I'm just saying I won't know.
Okay.
I won't know, because once this is out and this season is over with, we are moving on. But I need y'all to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. Anything else?
That's it.
Y'all be good.
Bye.